All right, now that we've talked a little bit, are we good, David? You got it? Yeah, okay. I know. I love you too. Uh, Talked a little bit about title, what title is. Now let's talk about somebody that you guys are going to work with is called the underwriter. All right. You guys are probably going to go into sales rep, at least to start out with. An underwriter is the person that's actually doing all of the work. Don't take that wrong. You guys are going to do the sales work. These guys are the ones that's actually going to be reviewing and looking at the chain of title. All right. A chain of title. Think of a chain. Chain is a bunch of links that are interconnected. We call it a chain of title. So Bob sold it to Susie, sold it to Mary, sold it to Bill, sold it to Raymond. That is the chain of title. All right. That is what the searcher or the abstractor is going to be looking for when he does a search. He's going to go back and look at the owners and how it passed from person to person using that general warranty deed. He might be looking for also what they call an exception or exclusions to the policy. Exclusions are really important because these are things that they're not really covering in their insurance policy, right? So we talked about things that can't come off, like an easement or an alleyway, an encroachment. An encroachment is a physical entity. So like your neighbor built his barn on your property. That might be excluded from your title insurance because that's not really yours, okay? So there are some things that's going to be excluded. Now, the underwriter is the one that actually works for the title company. Sometimes he may work for the title insurer itself, all right, the big boy. And now we're talking like above Chicago Title. They are a title company. Conestoga is one. I can't remember who, and they're the actual writers, the actual insurers, okay? The title underwriter works for them, and they're the ones that's going to check the title to ensure that the ownership and the rights to the parcel are actually in place and not in question. Okay, so this involves them searching the chain of title and looking through the public documents to find out who the owner was, and all of the title claims get a release, and they make sure there's no challenges on there from any other person threatening what we call the quiet enjoyment. Remember, I told you that's one of the things we give. So what they're looking for is this thing that we call a net zero, right? Exactly, net zero. Plus one, minus one, that's net zero. So you've got a lien and a release, that's a net zero. So someone may have a lien in 1930, and 30 years later in 1960, they recorded the lien release. Guess what? They paid their mortgage off, so that house is free and clear. Then in 1931, you see another lien, and then in 1961, there's a lien release. So what they're doing in this chain of title is looking for all of that net zero. Where's the plus one? Where's the minus one? Or depending on how you want to look at it, sure, look at it that way. Maybe the lien is the minus one and the release is the plus one. Plus, you might be looking for any other things in there, like potential lawsuits that may have involved the property. Maybe there was some adverse possession where someone took part of it, or the government condemned part of it and took part of it for a highway, a la I-69, all right? So all of that would be on the document ownership in the public records that this underwriter is going to be looking for. He is the one that's actually going to be doing the work, okay? Common issues that could be included in that he's going to do is the legal description. You guys have not had the fun of, or maybe you have if anybody's had it. How many in here actually have a real estate license? Really? 2 of you? I didn't know that. Not going to ask you where you went to school to get your real estate license. Not going to do that. Wouldn't be prudent. Probably might be a little harder for you to pass this class, though, now that I know that. No. Remember the northwest quadrant of the northwest quadrant of the northwest quadrant of Section 26? Yeah, that's enough, right? Yeah, the legal description. Per Plat Book 41. They're going to be looking for any liens or judgments. They're also going to be looking for some defects like unreleased liens. Maybe there's a lien in 1938 and there's no release recorded. Now, here's the cool thing. Does that mean they owe the money? Anybody? No, it doesn't. It just means there's no recording of the release. Doesn't mean there's not a release. Therein lies the problem, though, because how do we prove that? Now, with that example, that's kind of a bad example because that's 1938. Heck, that's almost, 90 years ago, 80 years ago. Let's do something a little more realistic. How about '02? Suppose there's a lien in '02 that shows up with no release. Does that mean the lien was paid off? I don't know. It just means that the paid off portion, if there was one, is not recorded. Okay? So let's go back and let's touch on one other thing here real quick. I want to put a stop on it. If you're listening at home, stop. Because normally in the real estate class, I play this little game, and let's play it here real quick. I'm going to pick on you, Dave, and Cindy, all right? So Dave, I sell Dave my property today through a quitclaim deed, which we didn't really talk about in here. But you guys all know what a quitclaim deed is, right? I'm just going to sign it over to him. Right? $1,000. Right, Dave? No. Say yes for the purpose of this course. Yeah. I know you probably... He said no. Yeah. Say yes. Makes the example work a heck of a lot easier. Yes. Now, tomorrow, or let's say we did it yesterday. Today, I forgot... For those of you at home, I'm using finger quotes. I forgot that I sold the property to Dave and I sell it to Cindy, who goes down and records it at the recorder's office. Who owns the property? I don't know. I'm asking you. That's the point. I know who owns the property. Do you? Who owns the property? All in favor of Dave owning the property. I've sold it to Dave first. All in favor of owning the property? Nobody? No, come on, somebody. Dave, say you did. At least stand up for yourself. All right, one. Who thinks Cindy owns the property? Everybody else. Wow, Dave. You and I are the only ones that correct. Yeah, that's right. No. Look. Recording has absolutely nothing to do with ownership. It only has to do with telling everybody there's ownership. Has nothing to do with it. If you don't think about that, here, whoa. Hold on. Okay, you, and you. I know you got questions. Hold on. Let me give you two examples and tell me if this doesn't solve your example as well. All right? So, I sold it to Dave yesterday. And then I forgot and sold it to Barb today, who recorded it. Well, first of all, I couldn't have sold it to Barb today because I sold it to Dave yesterday. So that's a fraudulent sale out of the gate. That should have told you guys that there's no way in Hades that, I'm sorry, Cindy, you bought it, not Barb, that Cindy owns the property because I had already sold it. I wasn't even the owner of it today, right? So that should have got all you guys. If that doesn't get you, let's do this one. Roughly, how long have we been selling real estate? I don't know. Somebody take a guess. Dude, I've been around longer than 50 years. How long have we been? 100 years, 200 years, 300 years? Did we sell property in the days of the Knights back in the early, 700 AD? We did, right? Did we have a recorder's office then? No. So if it's required, how did we sell property without a recorder's office? Simple. It's not required. Recording has nothing to do with ownership. Just proved it to you in 3 different ways. It only has to do with making it public, okay? Got that? So I could still own property and not have it recorded down at the recorder's office. Now, everybody has an interest in getting it recorded because the current owner or the seller, he wants off the tax records. The buyer wants on because I now have an asset that may increase my net worth. And the bank wants on so that they can have a lien so that in case I try and sell it, they make sure they get paid back. So everybody has a reason to get it recorded, but it's not required. It's not required at all. All right? Now, I completely forgot why we took that left turn. What? Oh, yeah. Okay. So that's what we're doing. So if we get something recorded in '02, thank you. We get something recorded in '02 and we can't find the release, doesn't mean that it's not paid off. It doesn't not mean it's paid off. Should that be a single or a triple negative? The fact is it's not recorded as being paid off. So that's going to involve you guys when your underwriter comes back to you, and I listed a property last summer where we pulled the title work, TBD, when I listed the property because I learned my lesson, and came back with Brent had 5 liens, all right, had no paid off. Well, my title sales rep called me and said, hey, the underwriter found these problems. And I said, oh, my gosh, I'm glad we got time to solve it out. Ding, 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 ding. That's exactly why you do it. So I called my client, and I'm like, Brent, what's going on? He's like, oh, I paid those off, and the recorder said they were going to get them recorded. The Visa company said they would record the releases, and they never did. He said, but I got them paid off. Don't worry. I'm like, well, okay, I am kind of worried because it shows up on the property, so we've got to solve this. And he's like, okay, so he called the Visa or American Express, one of them, and got their attorney, legal department, to send a letter saying it was released, and we resolved the problem in a couple days. So it actually was paid off, just wasn't recorded. All right? So that's what these guys are going to be looking for, making sure or ensuring there is a clear title so that the property owners can sell and make these outlandish statements to the other buyer that, yeah, there's no problem because there's no defects and we found no defects, okay? Now, just because we found no defects doesn't mean there isn't any, all right? Like if someone forgot to record a lien. Those are exemptions. That's the exemption would be where your title company says, we are insuring you against everything that's recorded and everything we could find. If something pops up that's unrecorded as an unrecorded lien, we are going to exempt that. So keep that in mind, guys. All right. The underwriter is going to use public record, even though it's not required. Everybody does it. Pretty much everybody does it anymore, especially on if they do what they call an insured sales. What is it called, insured? Now you understand, right? Because we're using an insurance company. Sometimes an uninsured liens may not get recorded. Neighbors sell property back and forth, or parts of a property, something like that. But the title underwriter can use other areas. May go to the recorder's office. He also may go to the tax assessor's office. He may go to courts to look up stuff. Okay? Any questions on the underwriter? Yeah. No. Most times there's maybe 1 or 2 underwriters. You might have 5 or 6 sales rep, but you may only have 1 or 2 underwriters because they're doing all the work for you guys, and, you guys are parceling them out, so to speak. Never have I ever seen, let me think about that. I'm making sure that I'm going to say that correctly. Never been like a one-to-one relationship. You've never seen one sales rep has one underwriter. It's the underwriter that may work for all 3 or 4 of the sales reps, or he may have 3 or 4 sales reps because he can do most of his work sitting at his desk, and you guys go out and sell the policy, and they do it. Yeah. So I don't think there's a special license to be an underwriter. Anything different? I mean, like where you guys need a title insurance producer's license? Right, because you're quoting insurance policies. Exactly, or insurance premiums. That's why you need the license. That's why you got sucked into this insurance thing. So it is a form of an insurance. Right. Okay? All right.